Good morning, students. In previous class, we had studied about the vegetative reproduction in plants, means the reproduction which occur by the vegetative parts of the plant. Okay. Now we are going to study sexual reproduction in plants. Sexual reproduction means in which male and female involved for the reproduction. Okay, so flower is the sexual organ in the case of plant. That means rather than flower, the remaining part of the plant is known as vegetative part, and flower is known as the sexual part of the plant. Okay, so here you can see a structure that is known as carpel. See, this is carpel. Carpel, this is stigma, this is style, and this is ovary. So the carpel represent the female part of the flower. Okay, and here you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 male part, that is known as stamen, and stamen consists of anther and filament. Okay, anther and filament. The tube is known as filament and the lobes like structure is known as anther. Okay, for in the case of reproduction, biological term of carpel is known as gynoecium, because gynoecium is the organ which produce female gametes. Okay, and the stamen is known as androecium because stamen produce male gametes. Okay, so stamen produce male gametes and carpel produce female gametes. That's why carpel is known as gynoecium and stamen is known as androecium. Rather than these parts, you can see a petal here, the color part of plant. This is petal. So the group of petal is known as corolla, and here you can see these are the sepals. The green one is sepals. So the group of sepals is known as calyx. Okay, and this is stalk, that is known as pedicel. Okay, so the reproduction starts, which starts from the formation of pollen grain inside the anther, and then the pollen grain transfer from the anther to stigma of the flower. Okay, so pollination is of two types. First is self-pollination and second is cross-pollination. If the pollen grain of same flower, means the pollen grain produced by the anther of same flower get attached on the stigma of the same flower, is known as self-pollination. But when the pollen grain of different flower get attached to the stigma of the different flower, is known as cross-pollination. So what is the definition of pollination? That pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. From this stigma, with the help of style, the tube-like structure, the pollen grain get inside the ovary. Inside the ovary, ovule is found which contain female gametic cells. Okay. After the process of pollination, we will study fertilization. So what is fertilization? So basically fertilization is the process of fusion of the male and female gametes to form fertilized cell. Means in this process, male and female gametes are fused together to form a structure known as zygote. Zygote is the fused structure of male and female gametes. So here you can see male cells. Okay, male cells which arises from the pollen grains. So pollen grain penetrate inside the style of the female organ with the help of pollen tube and get fertilized or get fused with the egg cell present inside the ovule of the ovary. Ovule of the ovary. So now the male cell get fused with the female cell and form a fused structure known as zygote. Egg cell within the ovule form the zygote. After the fertilization, the ovule forms the seed. The ovule forms the seed and the ovary forms the fruit. Means after the fertilization, the fused ovule form seed and the ovary forms the fruit, and the remaining organ like sepals, petals, stamen, etc. are fall off. Means when we are seeing flower, the flower contain petal, sepal. These all parts of flower get fall off when the fertilization takes place in the flower.